Okay, it's about 10:30 at night on Saturday, October 11th, and I can't sleep. So let's go through another section of the nonviolent resistance training materials from the resistance boot camp that I went to last weekend. If you're interested in getting on the email list in case we have another one of these trainings, please go to resistancebootcamp.us. You can sign up there. Okay, so we are looking at a regime that is trying desperately to incite violence. They are desperately trying to stoke political violence. And one of the things that nonviolent discipline does for us is it helps us create a contrast between us, regular, ordinary Americans. We're grannies and grandpas, we're veterans, we're disabled Americans, we are pastors, we are kids in frog suits and tutus. We're totally non-threatening. We are committed to nonviolence, and we are standing up for our rights against a regime that is brutal, violent, and unhinged. Normal law enforcement supposedly has training in de-escalation. ICE has none. They have no training in de-escalation, and they are actually really intent on escalating. Over the last week, I've talked to a number of protesters in the Portland area who've been arrested. And one of the things I've heard from a couple of them is that ICE is intentionally trying to get you to resist arrest. That when they're handcuffing you, they will, zip tying you, they'll squeeze your wrist really hard to get you to jerk because of a involuntary pain response. I heard another person say that when ICE was attempting to arrest them, that they dug their kneecap into the back of their thigh muscle. Same thing, to try and get you to jerk, and then they can be like, oh, resisting arrest. ICE wants to escalate. They're in the face of protest. Their purpose here is to escalate. Their mission from Donald Trump is to try to incite a riot so that Trump can say he's justified in rolling in the military and taking away our rights. Their whole purpose here is escalation. And just like we live in a culture where we wrongfully think that violence is power and nonviolence is weakness, and I've talked extensively about how nonviolence has a particular kind of strength, a tremendous amount of power. It's just not one that we typically see portrayed because it's not sexy and doesn't make for good media and doesn't make for good cinema either. Likewise, the regime falsely tries to tell us that violence is power. We know that nonviolence can be far more powerful. The regime thinks that their effective tactic will be to escalate. We know that de-escalation is at the core of our power. It helps us control ourselves, helps us keep each other safe. It helps us control the situation. And when we control the situation, we maintain control of the narrative. What we are doing here is we are telling a story to the American people. Not just the American people, to the entire world. We're telling the true story of what is happening. Regular, everyday Americans who are non-threatening, we are not violent, are being brutalized by an extreme, violent regime, particularly the paramilitary force of Donald Trump's private, personal American Gestapo known as ICE. We are telling the story that creates that contrast that builds mass public opposition against the regime. When we are looking at any of our nonviolent direct actions, be they protests, be they sit-ins, any action that we're engaged in, we have got to make sure that we are committed to our nonviolent discipline, and that means that we've got to build skills around de-escalation. Before this madness that we're living now, I talked a lot about DBT therapy, and I talked a lot about it in relation to raising children, how important it is for us as parents to have emotion regulation, and that we need to make sure we are not letting our emotions run us. That when our emotions are very overwhelming, our distress is really high, and we've not built distress tolerance skills, what happens is that we do things that we later regret. We act out of our anxiety, we act out of our fear and our rage, and we do things that we later come to regret. And when we can have good regulation of our emotions, we stay in control, and we are less likely to engage in behaviors that harm our cause, that harm our relationships with other people, and that get us into a lot of trouble. So I really want to encourage you, as you are diving into the skills and the power around de-escalation, both for engaging with other people at protests, be it like cops or be it agitators, be it counter protesters, be it just like people in your own group who get really amped up. Build those skills around distress tolerance, around emotion regulation. I highly recommend doing a little DBT course if you can, because when you can regulate your own emotions, you can help regulate other people. I know that we live in a culture right now that says lean into your rage. just go ahead and let your vision go red. And, you have a righteous anger. You should be able to vent that however you want. It can feel really good in the moment to release those really big, powerful emotions. But in the long run, we can really hurt our cause. It's not as sexy. It's not as desirable or seen as desirable in our culture to maintain self-discipline, to have control of our emotions, to regulate. I'm telling y'all, there is tremendous power in that, especially in a scenario where ICE is trying to escalate. They want us to tip into full emotion mind. They want us to do the thing that we will later come to regret, right? They are trying to piss us off. They're shoving, hoping you will shove back. And one of our biggest sources of power right now is denying them what they want. We are not letting them have a victory in Portland, Oregon, in any way, shape, or form. So the way that we don't let them push our buttons is we learn how to regulate. And then we help regulate our friends who are out there with us, right? When I said that engaging in nonviolent direct action is very much a PR game, it's very much theater, it's about us telling a story, that means that we all have a role. There is a role that you are playing in that direct action. Whatever your role is in that nonviolent direct action, please understand that we all also have a role of making sure that we keep people calm and focused, and we make sure that the action stays true to its purpose. We do not get distracted with big emotions. We do not take the bait. We do not let the regime or counter-protesters or whoever divert us from the purpose of our action. We aren't doing nonviolence just because it's some moral imperative, right? It's not just some righteous ethical position that we're taking up. We're doing it because we have a job to do. We have a story to tell. We have a mission. We have a purpose. We have to make sure that we don't get derailed from that. Right? So as we're learning to regulate ourselves, as we're building those distress tolerance skills, we have to de-escalate ourselves all the time. And we are also making sure that we work on building de-escalation skills with other people who can try to detract us from our purpose. Counter-protesters, y'all, they want to undermine whatever action we're engaged in. And so does ICE. They have their agenda. When we engage in de-escalation, it helps us make sure that we succeed in enacting our agenda. So over the next few videos, I'm going to talk about some tried and true de-escalation techniques. If you are a leader or an organizer for upcoming events like No King's Day, please understand that there are lots of online resources you can go to for de-escalation training as well. Indivisible has a good one. Really quickly here for the last few minutes, I want to talk about the ABCDs of de-escalation. So when you're walking into a situation and you know that emotions are already running high, it's already escalated and you are trying to take down the temperature, right? There's counter-protesters screaming at your group. There are people in your group that are engaging with law enforcement and it's like going sideways a little bit. You're a safety marshal or volunteer and someone comes and gets you and says, okay, we got to come over and deal with this. There are 4 actions that I would like you to take. The first one, they're ABCD. The first one is assess. What's happening? Who is involved? How many people? Are they people from your own group? Are they counter-protesters? Is it one person who's instigating a bigger situation? Is it a distraction or an actual threat? B is breathe. Before you take any action, breathe. That can be box breathing. That can be counting to 10. One person in our group does this like finger tapping, breathing. You have to be calm. You have to maintain your calm. It's much more difficult to help other people when you are in an escalated state. C is choose, right? Remember that you have options. Different situations require different interventions. Maybe your choice is to step in and calmly apply certain de-escalation techniques, or maybe you're like, actually, this is above my pay grade. I need to go get help. Choose what action you're going to take. And D is de-escalate. Use de-escalation techniques like the ones I'm going to talk about over the next few videos and help bring down the temperature. I'm really tall, so when I do this, I try not to loom over people, right? I want to have a gentle body posture, open hands. I want to speak calmly and quietly, and I want to slow down the pace of my speech. Low and slow and non-threatening. Now, with all of these ABCDs, we're doing them all the time. We're constantly reassessing. We're constantly making choices. We're remembering to breathe all of the time. We're trying to bring ourselves down and keep us calm. And then we're trying to stay low and calm and quiet and de-escalate the situation with others. Okay, I'll be back more in the next video to talk about different de-escalation techniques.